Seller lead generation is not as old as buyer lead generation. It's something that's came about in the last 8 to 10 years, maybe. I know that sounds like a long time, but in the internet world, it's not. But what seller leads are, what they sound like, listing leads, seller leads, whatever you want to call them. It's people looking and inquiring, what's my house worth? How much I sell my house for? How do I go about selling my house? What's the best time to sell my house? All those questions they're asking, running them into a funnel, so to speak, or a landing page, and then getting them to fill out that form. And the way we're doing that is using some really great tools in the industry, some vendor partners that we love to work with. I'll mention one because everybody kind of knows that we work lockstep with them and we love their solution, Fellow, a great solution that we use to generate seller leads at a pretty high clip. And what that looks like is essentially what it is. We find out what markets you want to be in. Again, a fully customized plan based on what you want, volume of leads, volume of traffic, amount of spend that you have, how many leads you want per agent. All that can be formulated pretty simply. And then we just start to get to work and then start generating those leads. And essentially what we're asking them for is, what's your address? And that address comes in. And a lot of times the way we like to do this is because some people want to work a little bit different than others. We'll tell you what that cost per lead is going to look like with per address. You can get an address from somebody from $4 to $8 a lead. After that, if you want a full lead, is what we call that. A full seller lead is going to be address, and then they're adding their name, phone number, and email address. That's going to be, anywhere from 18 to 25 to $30 a lead. The difference in the cost per lead has everything to do with Google's an auction. And this is the same with Microsoft. We can do this on Microsoft and or Google, but seller lead generation really comes down to how much volume is there, how many people are bidding on the same things you're bidding on, and what's that cost per click. The conversion rate is going to be pretty consistent for us on converting to get a lead, an opportunity for you. Your conversion rate from lead to deal is a little bit different. That number is a floating number, and it all depends on what you have set up for your systems in the back end. I can go into the same market and I have an agent that's very focused and motivated and works their leads intensely and gets a really high ROI, and it is running with a 5 to 10x ROI. I can have another person come in that scrapes by and barely makes their money back. They're going to tell me the leads suck, where the guy over here in the same market is going to tell me, if I can get more leads, I would take them. So it really comes down to your systems. But seller leads are different than buyer leads. They're a completely different mindset. They have to be talked to different. Everything is different about them, but it's a solution that we offer. You can tell us, hey, I'm predominantly a listing agent. I would like listing leads. We can do that. I'm a buyer agent. I want buyer leads. We can do that. We can do a combo. We have a lot of people that'll do a combo and say, I want to spend this much on buyer and this much on seller, and then flip flop that depending on what time of the market it is and what time of the year it is and what the market looks like. So that's what seller leads are. It's pretty straightforward. None of the leads are bought and then sold. Everything comes to your site. And that's a very big thing for us. We want to make sure that the traffic is going to your site so you can start implementing your brand and getting people comfortable with you. So we don't do a third party, like we'll have people come to us and say, I want to buy this many leads. That's not how it's done. You tell us, hey, I want to try to generate this many leads onto my own personal site. And we're going to say it's probably going to cost X for you to do that. Your spend inside whatever market you're running in, it's going to cost you X. And then we're going to be able to generate this many leads. And then it's just a model that we try to replicate each month, but we have pretty good data running. We'll know pretty close to how many leads we need to generate and how things are going. And that's really what it is. It's simple for us. It could be complex for others, but at the same time, we've been doing this for about 18 years. So it's something that we understand pretty well. It's something that if you have any questions, we can always answer them. But that's the gist of what seller leads are. They sound crazy, but they're really not. I will say we don't love running seller leads inside Facebook. We just see the intent not being there. And that's kind of why we do what we do. But that's for another time and another video and another story, I guess. So if you have any questions about seller leads, generating them in your market, be sure to let us know. Reach out at drivenleads.com and we will help you with anything we can.